Good morning, friends. You're gonna have to bear with me. My throat is like still on fire, but I didn't want to miss another day of not doing these because I know that sometimes when I like randomly pop up saying I'm not doing these, I always feel bad. But yesterday I literally woke up feeling like crap, and today's not really that much better, but it's fine. We're going with it. So today it's under the devotion is called Breaking the Fear Cycle. And then under it, the one that I'm reading today is called A Different Life. And it basically talks about just like the fear and what fear does to us, and like the fear that we hold on to so often. And I think almost every single one, if you can't relate to this, then bless your soul, and I really want to talk with you because that's amazing. But if you do, like, mostly I feel like people are going to relate to this. So it says, how would life look different if we no longer held on to fears about the future? We would live more fully, more freely, and more joyfully in whatever now brings. We would take captive thoughts that bind us to tomorrow we cannot control, and instead focus on the today we have to live. We would savor our task, big and small, and let go of the minor stresses of life. We would be less controlling, less manipulative, and less opinionated. We would dream gently and trust fully. In all of these things, we will never be perfect. We will still fail, we will still fear, and we will still worry, but we will not remain there like we used to. We have a way paved out in Scripture, breathed out in our souls. What used to be weeks and months or years of intense fretting will now become minutes, hours, or just days. When we are slammed with all the fear that used to overtake us, we will brace ourselves and turn boldly back to the truths we have learned. We will still hurt, still have pain, and still mourn loss, but we will stand strong with hope and find comfort and peace. We will remember that God, or what God has promised us, and know how to get there. When you are lost in the dark, when things happen, when fears come, when you don't know what to do, may you simply take one step of faith at a time. May you reach back into these truths with courage, and may God's word wash over you anew every day. I pray that you will take heart. I pray that as you take time to reflect on what you fear and why you fear it, you will remember that God does not leave us nor forsake us. I know it is not fun to stare your fears in the face, but my prayer for you is that it may be less scary than you imagine. I pray that as you go forward, you will see how marvelously God makes up for our weaknesses. Though we may cower in fear and trembling, God is in all this glory to lift us up. And then it's just ask below, and it says, how has this week of devotions changed how you think about fear? The next time a fear creeps into your mind, how will you respond? And I know that we haven't talked about this whole devotion this whole week, but if you've been reading and kind of diving into your Bible, and if you've been doing devotionals like I've really encouraged you guys to do, you'll realize that, like, it's not necessarily that you fully break down the fear cycle. I think it's not human for me to say I don't have any fear at all. Like, I don't really think that's possible. But I do think that God constantly reminds you of saying, trust in me, trust in me, trust in me. And you'll notice your fears starting to break down. And one thing I'll go back to is it says, where's that? Oh, it says, can you imagine like what life would be like without fear in the future? And it said we would live more fully, more freely, and more joyfully in whatever now brings. We would take captive thoughts that bind us to a tomorrow we cannot control, and instead focus on today we have to live. We would savor our task, big and small, and let go of the minor stresses of life. We would be less controlling, less manipulative, and less opinionated. We would dream gently and just trust fully. And I can tell you, and it was saying, like, take step by step and take day by day in faith. Don't sit here and overwhelm yourself with like these big tasks, or don't overwhelm yourself with the big future. I know that if I start thinking about, and I was talking to someone on my team the other day about this, and it's funny because I think about this too. I was already thinking about Christmas, and Christmas stresses me out because my family is such gift givers that if I were to give anything less than like one gift, I feel like I would be judged. And so I feel like I'm held on to this like higher standard of having to just go all out for Christmas too. And that's such like a simple example, and it might be silly, but what I'm saying is I already think so far in the future to where it steals my joy for today. And I know that we've talked about that over and over again. You hear it, you see it on quotes and devotional, so it might have less meaning to you because you hear it so much. But I promise you that the more that you step out into your faith, and the more that you dive into your journey, and the more that you just trust God, and pray to God for your situations every single day, no matter if you're having a good day. And that's something that I really want to hone in on, is some people believe that if they're having a good day, if they don't like feel any pressure of the world, or if they don't have any weight of the world on their shoulders, they completely ignore the thought of giving God that grace today, or giving God that time today, because they're like, oh, I don't need it. I'm good today. And I can tell you from experience, when you do that, the days that get hard, they hit harder before than if you were to have, I'm trying to word this, if you were to have to like fill your cup up the day before, it hits way harder. And I don't want y'all to hit this fear cycle of constantly breaking so far down into this fear that you feel paralyzed. I promise you, when you start diving deep into your faith and when you really start taking it on consistently, and I'm only speaking to this because I really only started doing this consistently about a year and a half ago. And I noticed the person that I became in the process. And I noticed my fears now compared to my fears then. And they're way different. They carry a different weight. And I don't want y'all to sit here and wake up and feel like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. And I feel like a lot of us do, because obviously we're business owners, okay? In this business, you do have weight to carry. Is it an unbearing amount of weight? No. God's not going to give you stuff that you can't handle that's going to completely break you down. It's just not possible. And if he does, then he's going to teach you something in that lesson while it is breaking you down. But chances are you're not going to be blessed with something that you can't handle. And I think a lot of us need that reminder. And I think a lot of us like take fear on as something that's like here to break us and destroy us. And if you weren't on Morgan's leader chat yesterday or coffee chat yesterday, it was like absolutely amazing. It was incredible. We were talking about just like fear and like the thought of like stepping forward and not moving forward because you let fear just take control of you. And I know a lot of us, like, we want these things to happen in our life and in our businesses, and a lot of us dream and a lot of us want these things, and then you're so scared of them not happening. You're so scared of giving it your all and still not making it happen and then be disappointed, or you're so scared of getting burnout, or you're so scared of people's judgment, or you're so scared of, and there's like so many long lists of things. But how can you trust God fully if you haven't truly tried? If you haven't truly tried to give your fear over to him and sit here and say, I'm not going to be fearful today. I might have a little bit of fear, but I'm going to trust you fully. And I can promise you, like, when you step forward into your days, it's a lot freaking different than if you were and not depending on him. I've been there on the other side. I can tell y'all from personal experience. So it's not just like I'm sitting here saying I'm holier than thou. I've been on the side where I did not trust him. And it was a dark place. It was sad. It was hard. It was like, I don't know. I don't have a purpose in life. Like, when you don't believe in something higher up, it's like, what is my purpose? We have a guy friend that, or Dallas has a guy friend, and he doesn't believe in like anything. He's what you would call an atheist. And he's been really hit hard this past season with a lot of life. Like, he lost his mom, he lost someone else in his family, and he's just been really going through a really hard time with depression. And I've been trying to figure out ways, in a way where I can introduce it without being like, I don't know, anyways, but he's facing really hard times. And I can tell the difference from when someone who doesn't believe anything goes through something dark and someone who does believe in something goes through something dark. There's no comparison. It's like voids that will never be filled on this side. And then people who like actually believe in God, your fears are like valid, they're real, but also at the same time they get taken away, because God promises you that he will never return voids, and that he will never sit here and bring you down a path that doesn't serve you. And so I'm so sick of people. Like, I talk to people day in and day out in this business. Obviously, if you're doing the work, you should too. And the fears that I hear are so ridiculous, are like genuinely ridiculous. They're like, but what if I fail? Oh, but what if I don't make my money back? Or what if, and all of those are valid. All of those are valid. They're making their life's decisions based off of fear. And I would not want to live on that side. I would not want to live like that. Like, I know people that live like that. I have friends that live like that. I have family that lives like that. And I just know that God has promised me into something so much bigger and higher than myself that I can't sit here and hold back in fear. And if you're constantly holding back in fear day in and day out, and you're like, I'm so fearful of moving forward, but I'm so fearful of stepping back into the place I was already in, you're like in this mutual ground. And you're like, I don't want to move forward because I'm a little bit comfortable. Comfortable is still not good. Okay. I can actually say that, and with like meaning, because I've been comfortable, and I know that comfortable places don't necessarily serve you either. And so I think all of us are called to something higher. I just think that we need to really have trust and faith in that God's going to protect you in those seasons where you don't quite understand. I've been very, very open and very honest with y'all about these past 2 months. I just wish that they would be over. Like, I'm so excited for it to be the end of this month. This month, even though it hasn't been like a bad month or anything, it's like life has happened to my entire team and I'm trying to navigate it. And it's also happened to me. And so I've been trying to like navigate all these different things. And I'm like, God, what are you doing? And I've asked him time and time and time and time again. And I'm like, God, what are you freaking doing in my life? And although I have not necessarily seen the exact moment of what, or the exact reason why he's doing this, I got a little bit of relief yesterday. Morgan called me, and I know she called several people, but she called me and we had a really, really good talk. And she like led me to like really good conversation that made me have a little tiny breakthrough within myself. And I know that like God's trying to show you something either through people, either through circumstances, either through scriptures that you find. He's trying to show you something in this present moment to show you that you are okay and that you're moving forward. Some of us are so stuck in sadness and fear and depression and all of these things that we are so blinded by the goodness of what God is giving us right now and today. And I literally, and I woke up the other day because when my mom was in the hospital, it's a very scary thing because you're just like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I don't know if I'm going to lose someone that I love so super closely. And so when she was in the hospital, it literally made me like grounded to my faith and just say, I need to take every day in strides. I need to take every single day and notice the goodness of what I have prepared for me today, because I can't worry about tomorrow. Because if I were to worry about, oh, I'm not going to wake up to having a mother tomorrow, and I know two people on here, and there might be more, but I know two people on here have had that happen. And so this is like relatable to them, but I had to wake up and realize that if I worried about tomorrow or the next day or what next month's going to look like, I'm going to be so regretful of the things that happened today, that if something bad were to happen, and I'm not trying to think like worst case scenario, but this was when my mom was in the hospital and I didn't know how she was doing. And I just had to realize, like, you cannot sit here and waste your time and energy on tomorrow. You can't waste your time and energy on next week. You can't waste your time and energy in Christmas, okay? You have to focus on the now, and you have to be grateful and planted in the season that you're in, because God's not just going to uproot you and get you out of it within a split of a second. He's not. He has a season for you for some purpose and some reason. And some people are so fearful that like this season is out to destroy them. Like I've heard so many people say, and Morgan said this yesterday, but yesterday on our leader Zoom, and she was saying that like so many people are like giving the enemy too much credit. They're like, oh, the enemy's attacking me, the enemy's attacking me, the enemy's attacking me. He hates me. He hates when I do good. He hates when this happens. Although I do agree with that to a certain extent, I believe that God puts us through these seasons, and maybe he doesn't allow it, or maybe he doesn't give it to us. I don't know. There's so many different like things go back and forth where people are like, God doesn't give you these seasons, but he helps you through it. Or some people are like, no, God put you through trials. And I'm like, which one is it? So I don't really freaking know at this point, but I just know that like God is putting you through something to get you through it, to make you into that person that you used to pray that you wanted to be. And when I look back at the times that I was fearful, at the time that I was scared, at the times that I was doubtful and didn't really have that much hope, God still got me through it. And so if you're still welling in the season where you're just like, it's not for me, the season's meant to hurt me, the season's meant to harm me, like I talked about over and over again, so I'll talk about it again. Last year when I went through that 3-month depression spill, in that season, I did not know if I was going to make it. Looking back now, I realized how much he needed me to depend on him for my happiness. And I told you that a couple of days ago. And so if you're in a dark season, which I know some of y'all are because I know some of y'all's life's experiences, if you're in a dark season, you have to keep looking at it as a perspective of, God, what are you wanting me to see today? What type of perspective are you trying to give me today? What are you wanting me to see today? I know that there's light in this darkness. And I'm speaking from experience. I'm not speaking it as like I'm here to attack you, because like I said, I've been through this before. And I'll never speak from a personal experience where where I haven't came from. And that's what I had to do. And it was a very long, hard 3 months. Would I go back to that? No. Did it mold me into a person that could sustain something more than I thought? Absolutely. Do I want to go back to that? No. Do I wish anything on that with someone? No. But do I know that people go through that? Yeah. And so I have to prepare people through these seasons. Like, I don't know the purpose of what this devotion is supposed to mean today. I don't freaking know. I know that's going to speak to someone. I know I'm going to get a text from one of y'all saying I needed this. I always do. So I'm just confident that that's going to happen. But I just think that we give fear and the enemy and things like that too much credit to where it paralyzes us to enjoy the now and enjoy who we are and what we are doing today in the season of life. And it's just, it's almost become an excuse to the point where we're like, oh, we're stuck in fear. I'm stuck in this season, so I can't move forward. I can't do this. I can't do this. All I can do is wake up this morning. Even though I know depression can have a hold on like that, or a dark season can have a hold on you like that, to where you're like, I literally, all I can do is brush my teeth today. Like, that's all I freaking can do. Give yourself credit and grace, but also during that time, spend more time with God. Like, stop avoiding it. Stop sitting here and saying, this season's so hard in my life. This season's so hard in my life, but then not going to the main source who provided you with this season in the first place, who provided you with the strength and the hope to get through the season. And so many of y'all are avoiding that because you think that all you can do is wake up and get ready for the day, or wake up and brush your teeth today. No, you have a lot more strength than that. And I would love for y'all to see, I would love to see for y'all to like really start diving more deeply into it. Like, and I have this devotion, so I'll read it really quickly, but this one and my Bible, I read every single day. And then I read my Bible app, and then I'll do like a really long journaling session, just speaking out to God. And then I'll always like pray out loud for a really long time. And that's more of like my routine. So you can do that, or you can do something different. But I'm going to read off this, and then I'll be quiet because my throat literally feels like it's about to go out. Okay. It says, come to me continually. I am meant to be the center of your consciousness, the anchor of your soul. Your mind will wander for me, but the question is how far you allow it to wander. An anchor on a short rope lets a boat drift only slightly before the taut line tugs the boat toward the center. Similarly, why is that word so hard? As you drift away from me, my spirit within you gives a tug, prompting you to return to me. As you become increasingly attuned to my presence, the length of the rope on your soul's anchor is shortened. You wander only a short distance before the feeling that inner tug telling you to return to your true center in me. So some of y'all are like that little side boat that's being tugged, and you're going so far off, and your rope's getting looser and looser and looser and looser because you're not like connecting with him. And so you're getting so much further gone and where you didn't expect you would go. And so some of y'all needs to like go back in, reel back in, even though it's going to be a little bit harder, reel back in and go closer to God. And I promise you, every single time you feel like yourself is drifting away, that hope and that faith is going to be strong to where you instantly snap back out of it. And you're going to be like, oh, I need to talk to God today. I need to give God time today. I need to do this today. And being on that side is just, it's so worth it, you guys. I can talk about it over and over again, but if you knew me in this business even a year ago from who I am now, you know I'm a completely different person. If you knew me from the start of this business to now, you know I'm a completely different person. So I can tell you from my personal testimony, and I've told you all this time and time again, I want to write a book, but I'm not like, obviously I'm still not even like a quarter away through my chapter of what I would talk about, but I do want to talk about the changes of like the human I became and like just what this has done for me. So anyways, I really hope that helps. So y'all can go ahead and drop prayer requests below. I didn't look at the chat, so I'm going to read these really quickly and I'll play some music.